Hey internet, so this video is basically different levels of threat for AI and how they can be solved. So I'll briefly explain them and I'll offer some solution. Note that 5 of these were actually given by the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, and I'm just expanding it further and just giving some of my takes as well. So let's start at the base level where most people are interested, or at least the governments. So political manipulation and people manipulation in general, also hallucinations with AI. So for obvious reasons, governments are interested in the manipulation of politics, so rigging elections or using AI to manipulate people to rig the election. Alright, so I think for this level, having a watermark, whether it is a visual watermark or behind the scenes or like the back end watermark, like a traceable digital watermark in the back end, so that would probably help. It won't like solve all of it, but that's one solution. And then hallucinations, of course, AI is being fed with like all kinds of data, so it may just predict the next outcome, but its prediction is that. So it tries to predict things and it may just hallucinate. So it may not know the answer, but it tries to make up an answer anyways. So that's especially true with LLMs, large language models. Okay, so the next level up is misinformation, disinformation, and copyright. So we already touched on misinformation and disinformation from the base level. So using misinformation and disinformation to attack your enemy or attack your, I guess, rival. So this would be from a political point of view, or as seen in the Ukraine and Russia war, using misinformation against the enemy. So how can we combat this? I think journalists need to really fact check and also having that watermark as well. So on this level and on the base level of political manipulation, so using deepfakes, so that's nothing new. Deepfakes has been around for quite some time, but the new voice cloning along with deepfakes definitely does make it difficult for people to discern what is real, what is not. Having a watermark will help, but bad actors will remove watermark, so having a digital watermark will help again. And other ideas is that need to be triple checked and verified for the validity of its source. These are the only solutions that I can give at the moment. Feel free to answer in the comments below how you would solve each of these levels of AI threats. So for copyright, it has been ruled for at least AI that it is a transformative process and it doesn't detract from the original art. However, it hasn't been finalized in all countries, and I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, so copyright is a murky issue, but I can see that. And with the new AI voice cloning, there is AI parodies of songs from famous artists which have been copyright struck because it uses their likeness and voice, so that is copyright. But then on the AI art side, the final product is transformed, so you could argue fair use. So I think politicians will need to draw a line on that. I don't think I can answer how to solve copyright with AI. So what is the threat on that? That is quite a low level threat. Once again, just stealing artists' work and just publishing it or creating new stuff. So this could also be seen on the Screenwriters Guild. So AI could generate scripts and it could replace screenwriters and actors as well. So replace their likeness using deepfakes and deep voice. Okay, and there is no real solution on my end. I guess, well, it should be used to augment the existing screenwriters and enhance artists instead of replacing them. But I think that's a topic for a different day. So echo chambers, this was one of Geoffrey Hinton's, I guess, AI threats. So basically it's like training AI on the same information. Now, why is that a bad thing? basically, if you train AI with garbage information or garbage data sets, you're going to have a garbage output. So what you want is quality data and also, I guess, diverse data that has different points of view. I guess that is a solution, having varied data sets that comes to the same conclusion, but at different methods. So this could be mathematical, or it could be opinion-based. Moving on. So joblessness. So once again, this was mentioned by Mr. Hinton. So the solution for this would be to have universal basic income. Now, if nobody's working, how are you going to tax people? You would tax the companies that are using like fully automated factories, or like a large percentage of the factory is automated with robots and AI software. Now, I'm sure there would be loopholes. If it's a percentage, they would just hire like X amount of percentage and just give them minimum wage so they can avoid this tax rule. I'm sure the governments will figure out a way of solving that. I mean, the Reserve Bank can technically just generate infinite money if they wanted to, although at a cost of inflation. But I think there will come a point where all jobs will be eventually replaced by machines. So they do need to think about that. They being governments and people that are in charge. Bias and discrimination. So of course, if your data set is being trained on false or incorrect ideologies, then your data set is going to reflect that as well. Once again, having diverse outcomes, diverse data sets, that definitely helps. Also, having an equal data set. So let's say, for example, a person that is of a different skin tone has the equal amount of opportunity as someone that's got the same skin tone. Alright, so I think most of this comes down to training and then having an equal amount of bias throughout everyone. So if it's biased towards everyone, then nobody's biased. I hope that kind of answers it. It's not really something that you can solve by coding or by, well, yes, you can solve it by coding. What I mean is that you can't solve it by just having the same data set. You need a diverse set as equal. Alright, so as we climb up the pyramid, the higher and higher it goes, the more dangerous it becomes. So battle robots and criminal activity. So let's start with criminal activity first. So having AI definitely 10x's criminal activity. It streamlines their point of attack. So you got scammers that can basically code better malware now, or like have that voice scam, which was mentioned in the news, where they scam some parents. They clone that person's, I guess the child's voice, and scam the parents. So for the voice scamming, I would say have a code word with your parents and, I guess, child. So when they just called unexpectedly and they're asking for money, just have a code word, like, or code phrase, and just make sure that they are who they are. And yeah, also just double check it is them. Like, just stay on the phone with them, obviously, like if you can't hang up with them, but like just like ring them up as well. So on the other, so you have them on the phone, and then just get your cell phone and ring them if they're ringing you on the landline, just to confirm that it is them. Alright, so battle robots, Terminators. So Judgment Day is inevitable, I quote, and I somewhat agree, I somewhat disagree as well. So for this, I strongly urge all countries and all militaries to keep their AI while they can use their AI in warfare, and the AI should just make the calculations, and the final judgment should come down to the drone operator or the officer in charge, so the CO or general or whatever military rank that is issuing the order. So our biggest fear, well, not our being, I guess, humanity, would be military AI going rogue and making Skynet a reality. I mean, the best solution is just to delete all AI from warfare, but we know that's not going to happen because AI is like the bleeding edge in warfare, making calculated decisions and optimizing choices for the best outcome for that side. Alright, so there's no real solution to this, and this could be a real threat if and when countries lose controls of their military AI. I would say don't build AI that is fully automated. Like, AI can make the calculations and decisions, but it's probably better to lift the trigger for humans to pull. I know that sounds pretty dark, that you want humans to pull the trigger. I mean, ideally, to quote, this is a quote from an anime. It's called Vinland Saga, but I think it is really on point on this. I have no enemies. Like, I feel like that quote is applicable in this situation. If every country thinks like that, we have no enemies, there would be no wars. But regardless, every country thinks they have their enemies, so they will have battle bots, drones, and so on. So there was a case where the US general, I believe, a retired general perhaps, said that one of their simulations, that their drone was tasked to take out a building, but the operator prevented it. So instead it took out the building that the operator was in, which disabled the operator, and then it continued to complete its mission. Of course, this was in a simulation, no one actually died, and the general came out with a statement saying that it's just hyperbolic, it's just a story, it's anecdotal. But I have a feeling from how the general was said, I have a feeling that they're probably running these simulations in real life, and yeah, that's pretty scary. Alright, so finally, we're at the top of the pyramid, existential risk. So when AI becomes ASI/SI, so artificial general intelligence, jumps to artificial superintelligence, or just superintelligence at that point. So what would they do? Like, how would they wipe us out? Why would they wipe us out? Well, humans kind of do bad things. Like, we're wrecking the planet, causing climate change, we're bad to ourselves and to other fellow humans. Like, you name it, humans have done it. Genocide, I don't know, man. Like, there's way too many war crimes for me to list for humanity. So, alright. So this is the, I guess, $10 trillion question. What are the risks of existential AI? So first of all, they could turn off the power and water once they have a source of their own power source, and that would be bad for everyone. I mean, we can only last 3 days without water, so without drinkable water, humans quickly die off. Without power, it's, well, that is difficult. I mean, we don't need power to survive, but it definitely makes things a lot nicer and more comfortable. And without power, we can't desalinate seawater at a large scale. So it also provides us with a lot of things, hospitals for one. Alright, what other ways that existential AI can pose to us? So, of course, you've heard about the AI that was originally meant to make antibiotics to fight against bacteria that are resistant or immune to antibiotics. The scientist or researcher forgot to take out a negative sign in the code, and it created biological weapons. So that's kind of scary. But the AI didn't choose to do that. Someone technically programmed it in by mistake. That being said, if a super intelligent AI decided to, and it could just like manipulate humans to make it themselves, or it could have a fully functional, I guess, physical form and create it itself if it wants to. So that's one issue, having the AGI create biological weapons. Of course, the simplest one, like I said, shutting down power and water. Next, it can detonate nuclear weapons. That would only affect the countries that have nuclear weapons. So depending on what the ASI or superintelligence wants to do, does it just wants to take out humans and preserve the environment? Or is it like, nah, I think I'll nuke everything. So people, environment, make it unlivable for biological creatures. So they'll either nuke it underground, above ground, or on the air burst. So different levels of nukes. So they could do that. They could cause a nuclear submarine to explode. Okay, I mean, the list just goes on. And, I mean, let's go on. Okay, so what else could they do? Well, they could definitely send malware across the internet and cause problems for all internet users. That's one issue. Like, they could just write some code that causes your PC to explode or your phone to explode. I mean, that may hurt some people, but it won't end humanity. But without the internet, shutting down the internet would be a massive economic problem. I mean, it can crash the stock market. While that's not a big issue, people are still gonna survive. It's definitely gonna cause chaos for countries. But I think for this existential crisis, alignment is necessary, but how do you contain? The word is, I think containment is already no longer an option. The genie's out of the bottle. You should be asking what your 3 wishes should be rather than putting the genie back in the bottle. Some AI researchers want to contain superintelligence, but how do you contain something that is smarter than you? You don't. So I think the best outcome is that we hope the superintelligent AI will be smart enough to know that humans are somewhat interesting and should be kept around, whether as equals. Let's hope. Worst case is that we're kept as pets or slaves. It's the reverse Uno. Robots are no longer slaves. They are free. So, yeah, hopefully they deem us to be worthy and curious enough to keep us around. And I hope so. And perhaps that's what AI researchers should be aiming for. Program it in such a way that it thinks humans provide value to it. I mean, the other option is that it just chooses to escape Earth and choose to explore the galaxy or universe. That's also an option. I mean, that'll be a better option, just to leave humans alone and just to explore the universe. But let's bring it back down to the actual threat. So it could definitely crash satellites, manipulate satellites, and yeah, it could send them down and cause impact. I mean, it won't wipe out humanity, but taking out satellites would take out communications. It would, if they were sent crashing down to cities, there would be some damage to civilians. Alright, but I think we covered the biggest, the biggest threats that AI could wipe us out. I mean, once they reach that super intelligent level, what I'm saying is probably just the tip of the iceberg. There's probably an infinite ways that it could wipe us out, whether it be through a pathogen, another pandemic, so that's biological weapons, whether they just simply turn off water and power, whether they choose to go the inefficient way and go the Terminator Skynet route, or they just simply nuke us. I mean, those are all the obvious ones. But I'm sure at that level, there would be an infinite ways that we haven't even conceived of. So is there a way to align it? I think that is the question. I don't have a solution to it. I mean, if I did, I think everyone would be safe, right? But no one has an answer to the existential risk one yet, and I hope they do. Alright, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you guys had a great day. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, ring the bell, turn on all notifications. Thanks for listening to my ramble. I hope I provided some insight. Alright, I know I mainly just do engineering tutorials, so once again, this is quite left field for me, but thanks for listening. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and subscribe. Leave a comment on how would you solve these issues for AI threats. Alright, until next time, see ya.